Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. How are,
Waalaikumsalam, sir.
how,
Waalaikumsalam, sir.
Waalaikumsalam, sir.
okay. How are all of you today? Selamat.
Sihat.
Sihat, Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Good. Okay. Today, inshallah, we will continue our lecture for about maybe 30, 40 minutes. Macam tu saja. Very short one. Okay. We will continue with a new chapter, which is chapter 2.3. Sorry, 2.2. 2.2. It's part of the chapter 2 syllabus as well. In the previous lecture, we have covered the difference between command line interface, graphical user interface. We have studied what are the features in graphical user interface, what are the features in command line interface, and we have also covered the advantages and disadvantages of both. Okay, in this chapter, we are going to look at file system. So file system is the one type of service which is provided by the operating system. Okay, file system is one of the services which is provided by the operating system. So we are going to look at what does it mean by when about file system and so on and so forth. Okay, can you all see my slides?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
All right. So when we talk about file system, so we are going to understand the concept, and we are also looking at how does the operating system allow user to access certain files and folders or directories. So there are two types of issues we are going to look at in file system. One is the concept of file itself, and another one is the concept of folder. What I mean is directory. Some call it directory, some call it folder, but basically it's the same. Okay. All right. So when you say file system, it's how the operating system accesses, or how does the operating system store, catalog, retrieve, and organize. So these are the four main features which the operating system does in order to store the file, in order to store the file, in order to catalog the file, retrieve, and organize the file. So in a file system, what does the operating system do? Is basically the operating system does four important feature, which is this storing of the file, cataloging the file, retrieving the file, and also allowing for allowing for organization as well. Organize the file system. Okay, so when we talk about when the question comes out, or what are the features allowed in file system, so basically the file system allows four main feature, which is the storing, cataloging, retrieving, and organizing. Okay, so these are the main four features. However, in the modern operating system, okay, we have issues whereby multiple users are accessing the same file. So the operating system has added two more features, which is the access control and file protection. Okay, so in total there are six features inside file system, which is the storing, cataloging, retrieving, organizing, access control, and protection. So when we talk about these features, we are referring about the file system. So if the question says, what does the file system do? Okay, or the question can come out in the form of, in what does the operating system do in a file system? Or what are the features available in a file system? So the answer is the features which are available in a file system are storing, cataloging, retrieving, organizing, access control, and protection. Okay, so these are the what do you say? The the features provided by the operating system. All right. Next, what does the file system consist of? What is inside a file system? So inside a file system, there are three main issues which is handled by the operating system. When we talk about file system, there are three main issues here, or three main concepts. One is a collection of the files, okay? Because in a file system, what is stored inside a file system are files. So a file contains data, okay? The file system also consists of metadata. Metadata means the properties of file, the properties of the folder, the properties of the directory. What are properties? Example of properties. When was the file created? When was the folder created? Who was last to access the particular folder? Who was last to access the particular file? So these are the metadata about a particular file or folder. So when we talk about what is inside the file system, so we have three main issues, three main important points, which is the collection of the files, metadata, and last but not least is the physical or logical partition. Why is this necessary? It is necessary to know where the particular file is located, either in partition A, B, C, or D. By default, the operating system is stored in partition C by default, which is the primary partition, okay, by default. So the operating system under the file system needs to know three main issues about file system, or three main issues, or three main ideas, or three main concepts about file system, which is the collection of files, metadata, and the partition of the files. Okay, so this is an example of partition in the operating system. Example number one on the left hand side here. Hold on. Example number one on the left hand side here. This directory contains two partitions. So these are one directory and this is another directory. Inside this directory, there are all types of files, and in this side, in the right hand side, there's no partition, but all the files are stored here. So this is typically a normal file system. You can either have a partition, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 partition, or you can just have one big partition and all the files are dumped there. Okay, so next question is, what is a file? Okay, the most simplest explanation of a file is the top part here. A file is a collection of binary, numeric, or character data. A file could be represented in the form of program, document, or in some cases, part of the file system. So this is the definition of a file. A file is a collection of binary, numeric, or character, meaning to say, inside the file, there can be some binary, there can be some characters, or there can be some numerical data as well. All right. And the last point here, a file must have a unique name, and it consists of three parts: the unique name, period, dot, and extension. Example, file name, unique file name, testing 123 dot PDF. PDF is the extension, dot is the period, and testing is the unique file name. So these are two main definitions about a file. A file can also be stored in various storage medium. A file can be stored in your thumb drive. A file can be stored in the cloud. A file can be stored in the hard disk. Okay, a file can even be stored where else? Yeah, hard disk, thumb drive, or in the cloud. All right, a file OS provides a uniform logical view of information storage. Yes, OS provides a uniform logical view. How do you get this logical view? Simple. You just click on file properties and you can see everything about the file. Where is the file located? Which directory? Who created the file? Who was the last to access? And things like that. So others you can just read on your own. Next, what are the attributes of a file? Attributes mean properties. A file has a name, identifier, a type of the file. Okay, name. Contohnya, testing 1, 2, 3. That's a name. Identifier, a unique tag. These are all properties of a file. Type of the file, yes, PDF, Word document, DOCX, HTML, whatever, IO, so many other. Location, where is the file being kept? In what folder? In what directory? In which partition? How big is the file size? Protection, who can read the file? Who cannot read the file? Okay, time, date, and other user identification. Okay, so these are the attributes, or what we say as the properties of a particular file. What can a file system do? Meaning, inside the file system, you have the file. What can the file do? What can the file system operation do? What are the types of operation provided by the file system? So the question comes out, what are the operations provided by the file system? Well, you can create the file. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the operating system allows you to create the file, allows you to write on the particular file. How to create a file? Simple. Right click, new file. Done. How do you want to write into a file? You just double click, you open your Word document, you open your notepad, write on it, and then save. So that's how you write a file. How do you read a file? Same way as you write a file. You just double click on the file and the file opens. Okay. You can also do other operations. For example, you can do delete a file. Yes. How do you delete? Right click, delete. Truncate. Truncate means you open the file, you erase the contents, you save back the file. Okay, that is how you truncate a particular file. Let's say the file has 10 pages. You open the file, you delete 5 pages, you save back the file. That's what it means by truncate file. Reposition. Okay, so the file system allows or provides a service whereby you can see in which position of the file you last were. I think you can always see this in Word document or PowerPoint. When you close your document, the next time you open, there'll be indicator there saying that the last slide you've seen or the last page you've seen was page 5 or page 6. Okay, so you can do that. You can open a file. So now here you can open a file, or you can just close the file. So if the question says, what are the file operations provided by the file system in an operating system? Jangan ni soalan ni. What are the file operations provided by the file system in an operating system? So you can answer. The file system allows you to open the file, close the file, truncate a file, delete a file, read a file, write a file, create a file. Okay? So these are the operations which is provided by the operating system. The operating system in the file system also provides you 4 more additional operations, which is append the file, rename the file, copy, move. Okay, so these are additional services provided by the file system. Okay, by the file system. Append. Append means you replace the data inside your file with the latest information. Example, in this diagram, the user replaces number 5 with the new number 5. Or if you put in a different scenario, you replace page 4 in your Word document, or you replace the contents of page 4 in your Word document with a new set of information. in page 4 as well. You delete the previous page 4, you put in a new page 4. You put in new information on page 4. That is what it means by append. Pen sama juga macam edit lah. Okay. Next, you can also rename the file. How do you rename the file? Right click rename. But if you're looking at Unix or under the command line interface, there are certain types of instructions that you need to type in order for you to rename a file. How do you copy a file? Right click copy. How do you move the file? Okay, so these are all operations provided by the operating system in the file system. Right? So copy and move are two different things. Copy is you make a duplicate of the file and you store it somewhere else. Move, meaning you move the original file from the original folder or directory to a new destination. So you move the whole file. You do not keep a duplicate, but you move the original file or folder from the original original place to a new destination. What are types of file? I'm sure you can all look at this. This is very simple. So you have a PDF file, you have a HTML file, a PS, a text file, zip file, C programming file, backup, JPEG, MP3, and so on and so forth. So if the question asks you list 5 types of file, so easily you can understand. Easily you can list down. You have HTML, you have C programming file, you have Word document, you have PowerPoint, you have Excel, zip, text file, and so on and so forth. Okay, so these are types of the file. Okay, next, how does the operating system or how does the file system access a particular file or folder? How does it access? Okay, so far we have covered what can it do, the operations, what the meaning, definitions, but now we are talking about how does the file system accesses the file. Okay, there are two main methods. How does the file system access a particular file? One is the sequential access. Another one is the direct access. The sequential access is in previous old operating system, whereby it accesses a file or folder one after another. Okay, so it's an example of tape recorder here. In order for you to listen to song number 4, you have to listen to song number 1, 2, 3 first, and then only jump to 4. Same way in accessing method in the operating system. The operating system will look for file number 4, but it has to go through 1, 2, 3, and 4. So it takes more time, as you have to, the operating system will have to access one folder, one file after another until it reaches the choice of file. Okay, so these are some disadvantages of having a sequential file access. However, the random access is much more faster. I'm sure you know why. Because we can randomly access any folder, any file at any point of time. Okay, we want to listen to, we want to access file number 4, we straight going to the file number 4. We do not have to access, the operating system does not have to access one after another until it reaches destination 4. Okay, random access is the new latest version. Okay, it's not the old version. In the previous 1980s, the personal computer would access in the form of sequential access. Now it's all random access. So this is the programming side of accessing the files. First you read, next you write next, and then you go on until the last file, until you meet your own file of interest. However, in the direct access, you can read n. N means where you want it to be. Let's say you want to read file number 3, so you just read n file in n3, and it automatically goes and to the direct file or the file of interest. Okay, So this is a directory structure provided by the operating system by default. So in this diagram, I'm using the example of Microsoft Windows. In Microsoft Windows, there are three main folders, three main directories which are provided by default when you install it. One is the Windows, program files, and document and setting. Inside the Windows folder or directory, you will have by default all the information about the operating system files. Inside the program files, you will have all the folders and files about any program which is installed in the PC. For example, if you if you install a new program, by default, automatically it will be kept inside this folder called program files. And all your other documents will be kept inside the document and setting files. And now the personal computer can be accessed with multiple users. So each user will have four main folders, which is the desktop, favorite, my documents, and start menu. Why do we have this? Because each user's desktop will be different from another. My desktop view will be different from yours if we are accessing the same personal computer. Okay, and my documents inside my documents folder here, my documents inside here will be different from yours. However, if you are the administrator, then all your documents from all the users will be automatically pointed here, will be shared here. But the original source or original place of information is inside here. Inside here is only a point. Okay, point. That means the actual file is still here. If you're the administrator, you open this, you open my name, my user, my folder, and you access my file. You edit the file. It's all edited, but the original location of the file still remains here. Why does it happen that way? Because they do not want it to be duplicate. If you have it in two different places, then you will have two file names in two different locations with same name as well. All right. So these are some information of a directory. As for now, we have talked. So far we have talked about the files. The same information is also available in directories. So operating system under the file system provides this information for all directories. These are the properties provided by the operating system for each and every file or folder in the operating system. So you have the name, type, address, current length, maximum, date, etc. These are all properties. Okay, and these are the operations provided. Kalau you remember tadi, kalau dalam file kita ada create, kita ada write, kita ada delete. So these are also the operations provided for the folder or directory. Kita boleh list, kita boleh search, kita boleh create, kita boleh delete, kita boleh transverse. Transverse is that kalau dalam Unix, you type the command, or dalam C command line interface, DOS programming, you type dir. Kalau dalam Windows, you just click the file properties. Dalam file property, what it means is in one view you boleh nampak semua. Okay, this one. This is a transverse view. Dalam satu view, you can see all the files. You can see all the folders here and all the files here. Here, everything is here. Okay, everything is here. This is what it means by transverse. Okay, transverse. Okay, so you can also do, how does the file system organize the directory? You'll organize it through either you can do grouping, you can it does naming, and also much more efficient. Okay, much more efficient. All right. The next is how does file system organize the directory? There are 5 methods. One is the single level, 2 level, 3 structure, acyclic, and graph. So the first one is always the olden one. Now with the latest system, it's either using 3, 4, or 5. Okay, so we'll cover this in the next class. But let me just give you an example of what it means. What it means is the same directory. Okay, the operating system will allow each user to have different directories, and how you are going to save a particular file in different directories. Sometimes you do shortcut. The original the original file is inside drive C, tapi you do a shortcut and you put it on your desktop. So bila you click desktop tu, it automatically goes to drive C. So you don't have to type in drive C. You can just automatically you just click on the shortcut. So that is an example of a cyclic directory. Okay, so this will take a bit more of explanation, and I have to leave your class early today. All right, so we will stop here for now, and inshallah we will continue in the next class. Okay, do you have any questions for me now?
No,
Any
sir.
questions? No? All right. Make sure you all sign your attendance, and inshallah I will see you in the next class. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam.
Thank you, sir.
Waalaikumsalam.